What's up, everybody? My name is George and welcome to the MTB portal. So I've gotten a few questions about the bike I ride. Specifically, people kind of want to know my impression of the bike and how it handles and how it rides. So I thought I would take a quick minute to do a bike check and just share my feelings on this bike. I do ride a 2019 YT Jeffsy Pro Race. It's a medium-sized frame. I'm 5'11" with a 31-inch inseam. I'm right in between that medium-large size, and my preference is smaller bikes, so I went for the medium. It's the 27.5-inch wheels, 160 millimeters of travel in the front, 160 millimeters of travel in the rear, and it's a great balance. This bike comes with a Fox 36 fork and normally comes with the DPX2 rear shock. I did replace the rear shock for the Fox X2. The DPX2 is a very progressive shock. The suspension of the geometry is very progressive as well, and when you combine those two, you get like a very steep ramp in the rear. So I went for the X2, and this is a great shock. I really like it. Between the Fox 36 and the X2 in the rear, the bike it feels very balanced to me, front to rear. Really happy with that setup. As far as suspension settings go, I pretty much just started with the Fox recommendations in the front and the rear. They're working very well for me. I've made minor adjustments to the front because I do get a lot of high-speed chatter up into the bars. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But yeah, the Fox factory settings kind of work pretty well for me. Pretty happy with that. It feels stable. I don't ever feel like I'm going to get bucked off the bike, and it feels like it's kind of absorbing everything that it needs to. So super happy with that. The wheels and tires are both TRS, race, whatever they are, I'm not sure, carbon wheels. And these I like these TRS tires. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about them at first. They look like they kind of want a pretty aggressive rider. There's not a lot of intermediate knobs. You just kind of have the primary knobs and then the side knobs. But I found that these tires offer a ton of grip, more than I was expecting initially. They are a pretty soft tire, so we'll see how long they last. I think I've done like 250 miles, and they're holding up pretty well. We'll see how they do over the next few months here. But all in all, pretty happy with these. I don't know if I'm going to stick with these when I need to replace them or not, but we'll see. XTR shifter in the front, XTR derailleur in the rear, made it to an E13 cassette. So far this system's been playing pretty well together. I have a little bit of a shifting issue right now, but I think it's my fault. I need to adjust the rear derailleur. XTR stuff is just awesome. The cassette I was unsure about, but it seems to be working pretty well, so pretty happy with that so far. So the bars, stem, and grips. The bars are rental bars, rental stem, and ODI lock-on grips. So I want to say that I like the rental bar stem combination. I like the ODI grip feel as well, but I don't know how I feel about all them together. I used to run foam grips, and I had a carbon bar before, but it was a different brand. And with this setup, I feel a lot of high-speed chatter, and my hands get really tired, my arms get really tired. I've tried to tune it out with the fork. It was not very successful. If you guys have any suggestions on how I can adjust that with the fork, let me know. I'm willing to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. But I do think I'm going to go back to foam grips and leave these bars. Try that, see how it feels. If I still get this high-speed chatter, I may just end up replacing that bar altogether. I do find myself using only maybe 80% of the fork travel right now. So I think I need to make an adjustment either to the fork pressure or adjust the compression rate or compression settings. Still dialing that in a little bit. The X2 I've got dialed pretty well. I'm using like 90% of the travel on most of my rides, including park rides, so I'm really happy with that. This bike comes with SRAM Guide RSC brakes, 200 millimeter in the front, 180 in the rear. I like these brakes. They feel pretty good. I used to ride XT brakes. I've noticed that these take a lot more finger strength, or a lot more grip strength to actually stop the bike. But I don't know if that's specifically because of the brakes themselves or because of the pad material. I don't know what material brake pads the bike comes with stock. So again, I don't know if it's the material that makes it hard to stop or if it's the brakes themselves, but that's just another thing that I plan on maybe experimenting with a little bit further down the line, to try either metallic, semi-metallic, or organic pads to kind of maybe balance out the force required to actually stop the bike. But I don't know, so far so good. I haven't had to service these brakes yet. I don't know what serviceability looks like. They do have a handy dandy lever throw adjustment directly on the lever. It works really well. I really like that feature. It just lets you balance the front and rear however you like it. If you like them the same, or if you want one to engage before the other, you could dial that in pretty easily. This bike comes with the Fox Transfer dropper post. I really like this dropper post. It works really well. The ergonomics on the lever are fantastic. It's super easy to get the post up and down. It's always right where you need it. It doesn't take too much force to actuate it, so I'm really happy with that. STG saddle. It's got a little YT branding, looks really nice. It's a little firm. Maybe I just need to continue getting used to it, but it works pretty well. I like it. It's a cool looking saddle. I'm currently running the Crank Brothers Mallet E pedals, mated with Shimano AM9 shoe, and I only have maybe 2 or 3 rides on that setup, but I really like it. I can clip in and out of the pedals really easily. At the same time, the Shimano shoe, once clipped in, has a little bit of compliance. So what ends up happening when you're descending is the shoe will actually flex down onto the pedal across the entire platform, and you can feel the entire platform of the pedal through the shoe. So it's kind of confidence inspiring. You feel really well connected to the bike, and those Shimano shoes are really comfortable. So I used to run a lot more of a cross-country oriented setup, but that Shimano shoe and E13 mallet combination is fantastic. I really like it. These are the long spindle version of the pedal, and I'm really liking that as well too. It kind of gives my feet a little more room to do their thing as I'm climbing or descending. Complaints that I have about this bike, I have a few. Not too many, but I have a few. So one, anything that's glued to the frame is not glued very well. So there used to be clear plastic protectors on the upper portion of the rear triangle. Those were gone within like a week. This chain guard is peeling off, and it's kind of on its way out as well. So I replaced the transparent guards with kind of my own transparent guard, and that's all fine. I'm going to end up taking off this rubber protector and maybe stripping off the adhesive, putting new adhesive down and re-gluing it. It's a little disappointing. I've read that it's a very common problem with YTs, and it would just be nice if they can kind of address that on the manufacturing side. But if you do get a new YT bike, I do recommend going over the entire bike, and anywhere that there's anything that's glued on, just press it down as best as you can and try to get that stuck down before you start getting dirt and debris getting in there, because once you start getting dirt in there, then it's kind of done, and it's only a matter of time until it peels off. Second potential issue is press fit bottom bracket. I don't have a lot of experience with press fit bottom brackets, but I've kind of read horror stories about, you know, the bottom bracket fit kind of going south, and then you end up developing creaking that you can't really address. So I'm a little nervous about that. When I first got this bike, I had bottom bracket creaking on my first ride, and it freaked me out. I shot YT a quick email like, hey, I've got, you know, bottom bracket creak, like what can we do to solve it? And they told me, okay, you know, disassemble the crankset, re-grease everything, reassemble it, retorque it. And I was a little skeptical, but went ahead and did that. Took it out for a ride, and I had no more bottom bracket creaking. So that was just kind of an assembly problem that they had. And it's been good ever since, so hopefully that holds. We'll see. And then the last thing that kind of is a little quirk that I'm not a super huge fan of is these cable guides where the cable goes into the frame. These guys kind of just back themselves out over time. It's really annoying. You end up having the cables rattling around in the frame. It's kind of noisy and annoying. It does give me something to do on the climbs when I'm bored and kind of struggling. I just sit there and fidget with them and kind of try to get them back into the frame. So got that going for me at least. All in all, I really like this bike. Honestly, it's probably the best bike I've ever owned. I do plan on keeping it for a long time. If I had to kind of sum it up, I would say this bike strikes the perfect balance between high-speed stability in the straights while maintaining really good cornering responsiveness, and I don't want to say playfulness, but maintaining playfulness. So that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up down below. If you didn't like this video, leave me a comment. Let me know what you didn't like. I'm always looking to improve and make these videos as best as I can. If you want to see more content, go and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.